Can the Saints find a way to beat the Commanders this weekend? Ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite videos, the Nick Underhill Drive Talk videos. I love it. I'm battling motion sickness while analyzing the video for each and every one of you. Fantastic stuff from Nick. I think it's good that he's doing this. I think it's a positive pivot from the normal videos that NOF does. Very nice. Good stuff. I mean, talk about a versatile channel. You got the Alvin Kamara video, which popped off 80,000 views I saw, so congratulations on that feature. Go from that, boom, to Car Talk. Unbelievable stuff. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Can the Saints find a way to beat the Commanders is the topic of discussion for us today. Let's go ahead and get right into it, all right?
Hey, what's up, guys? Just leaving Saints practice. It is Wednesday and just heading out of here, leaving the facility.
Okay, so before Jake Haener was named a starter, it's important to remember. It's also important to remember he is wearing a seatbelt. Good stuff.
And you're watching The Dot presented by Matt Bowers Auto Group. The big story up here today, obviously, is...
This is free from me. Free from the superstar. Free from the face of the franchise. These ideas come in, come out, I mean, on a whole nother level. If I was Matt Bowers, what I would do is I would sponsor this segment and I would have Nick drive a car that is for sale. And I would have him in a different car for every one of these videos to where, you know, boom, today presented by Matt Bowers in a 2023 Kia Sorento. Get it now for the low price of whatever, blah, blah, blah. Next video. Wow, now today we're in a Dodge Ram 2020 blank, blank, blank. You know, that's free from me, Matt. If you want to do that, I would think about that.
Is all eyes on the quarterback battle, and Darren Rizzi said today after practice they have not yet decided who is going to start this week. They let both players get reps in practice today between Haener and Spencer Rattler, and they're going to make a decision a little bit later on this week. So we'll see who that's going to end up being. You know, I think there's two schools of thought here. You can go to Rattler and kind of start looking to see if there's maybe something more there for next year, or you go to Haener, who might give you a slightly better chance to win right now. We'll see which direction they go. I think they're going to probably...
No, I don't know if that's the two schools of thought. The second school of thought, I don't think they... Well, okay. All right, let me back up a little bit. It depends on who is making this decision. If it is a strictly the coach is making the decision, then yeah, it probably is who they think gives them the better chance to win. What the hell is my microphone doing? Because they have to win the game, and they don't care about next year. They don't care about the future. They don't care about developing these players. Because, God bless. I almost just swallowed my tongue there, ladies and gentlemen, but no edits. Where the hell was I before I almost drowned? Oh, yeah. Because the coaches don't care about developing or the future or next year. They want to win. Okay, so if it's just the coaches and there's no front office talk at all, then yes. If there is front office talk at all, then I could see the front office saying to play Haener because they know what they have in Rattler, or they have an idea. They've seen enough, not seen enough, but they've seen enough to form like a highlight tape, demo tape, game rep tape, breakdown, all 22, whatever. They need that for Haener because they're going to be evaluating these guys, and they need something to give the next coaches coming in. They need something tangible to grade these guys on. Not so much grade against each other, but just grade as far as like, hey, do we want these guys on the roster? Do we want, what are we going to do here? So that is my reason for playing Haener, is to get him some of those reps, to get him some of that, to where you just have it. You just have it to look at for the future. But as far as trying to actually win the game, that would be like Rizzi and Kubiak by themselves. And it's kind of hard to believe that they would even decide to go that way after they decided to go with Rattler earlier. So
lean towards that winning element, but I think it's going to be tough for either one of those guys. But
yeah, it will.
I'm not going to go too deep into that one. We talked about it on today's podcast, so check out that episode if you are a member of New Orleans Style Football. That went out today at 10 o'clock or whatever. everybody else will get the episode a little bit later today. So check it out on there. We kind of talk about the pros and cons of those two guys. But I do think that, personally, if you're asking me to handicap it right now, I think it probably leans a little bit towards Haener. But I could see it going. Either direction. So they'll let both guys get reps today. They'll do that again tomorrow, and we'll kind of see where it goes from there. The other thing today, Alvin Kamara was not.
Yeah, man's sick as hell. So he said he's filming this on a Wednesday. Thursday, he didn't practice either. So, yeah, AK is going through.
Wasn't at practice, not a big deal. He's just dealing with a little bit of illness. He's still doing all his stuff to prepare for the game and all that stuff. So I don't think that's really anything to worry about. And obviously, that was a little bit of one of the moments where you're like, oh shit! Like when you walk out there and you see he's not out there, because that's the offense right now. Like Alvin is pretty much like the entirety of the offense. Because
if it's Jake Haener, Kendra Miller, with Jamal Williams as his backup, and MVS as our offense, I'm not even going to go sit in the seats. I'm just going to pull up a stool next to the bar, and I'm going to tell them, don't even show the game. I'll hear it in the background, but keep them coming.
Because if you take him out, I don't know how they're moving the ball at all. The spread's already, I think, 7 points, and if you take him out of the mix, like,
oh, it'd be over 10. It would get to 10. It's 7.5 right now. Probably will go back to 7 by kick, but I would assume it would definitely go to like 10.5.
It's cooked. There is no way to win a game without Alvin Kamara on the field for the Saints. So that's a major thing if he wasn't going to be able to play, but there's no concern about that right now. He's going to be able to play this weekend. He'll be out there. He'll be good to go, and they're going to have to try to get that run game going. Washington isn't a great team at run defense. So
Washington's defense is garbage. They had a good stretch there against bad teams, but yeah, the defense is not good. Obviously, having Lattimore makes them better, but
that is something that could set up decently for the Saints. But the Giants aren't a good team at run defense either, and they weren't able to move the ball at all last week.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a problem too, where it's like, and I still have the notes right here, where it's like, all right, the Giants defensively are 27th overall, 28th in pass defense, and 20th in run defense, and we didn't do a damn thing on offense last week through the air or on the ground. So you kind of got to throw these numbers out the window when you're talking about the Saints and their opponents, because like the Saints haven't proven. That's something I talk about all the time, where numbers are only so good as to what you can take advantage of. Like if you're playing the 30th ranked run defense, but you cannot run the football, then what does it matter? You might as well be playing the first. If you're playing the 30th pass defense, but you cannot move the ball downfield, it really doesn't matter. It's like, I'm trying to think of like the worst quarterback. Well, I guess Jake Haener. Like if Jake Haener is facing the 32nd pass defense, does it really matter? Probably not. So the Saints haven't proven that they can take advantage of a defense. So I mean the Washington, they're a below average defense, but they're way better than the Giants.
And I think if you're game planning for this team right now, I mean all you're really trying to do is load the box.
Alvin
but
Kamara.
The thing is the Saints do so much out of heavy personnel, 12 personnel, 21 personnel, 22, all that stuff. Teams are already kind of able to load the box anyhow, and it's going to be tough to set up advantages off of that playing against.
All you do against the Saints right now is you load the box up, put 6 people in the line of scrimmage, don't move, don't respond to the shifts and the motions and all that, and just force the Saints to play kind of this static offense. And you just dominate them. I mean, if you just, that's all you really, that's all I would do. And I don't think the Saints could counter that, because what would happen basically against this offense, if you stack the box like I'm talking about, put six up, and you just say, we're doing this. I don't care what you motion. I don't care what you do. I don't care what play action there is. We're doing this. So it puts the onus on the offense, and it tells the offense, you're going to have to get out of that set. You're going to have to spread it out, and you're going to have to beat us through the air. And then you basically dare the Saints to do that. There is no way in hell the Saints could do that in this situation. There's no way they could say, okay, well, we're going to have to get out of that, that heavy, the 12 personnel situation. We're going to have to get out of the multi-back, multi-tight end sets. And we're going to have to go back to 3 wide receivers, 4 wide receivers, and let Jake Haener try and cook with MVS on Marshon Lattimore, Kevin Austin Jr., and a couple of hot dog salesmen. So that's what I would do. And I think and Dan Quinn, Dan Quinn ain't no dummy. So I have a sneaky feeling Dan Quinn's going to be ready to do that and prepared to do that and will do that. And if he does do that and is prepared to do that and all that, then yeah, we're probably in a bad spot. But that's exactly what I would do if I was facing the Saints.
It's a team that has a player like Marshon Lattimore, because you drop him on Valdez-Scantling and you play the run.
LOL, yeah.
And what do you really do from there? How do you stop this team from or how do you move the ball if you're the Saints?
What you can also do in this situation is you can leave your defensive backs a la Marshon Lattimore on an island. You aren't afraid at all of, like I said, stacking the box, 6 defensive linemen, heavy blitzes, and then just playing man with your cornerbacks, because what are they going to do? Are you really concerned if you're playing man that A, the Saints will be able to pass block or block the pressure, A, and B, be able to take advantage of one-on-one matchups on the outside? No, absolutely not. So this is a defensive coordinator's dream. And, football in the current form it's like a chess match between coordinators where you got to have a counter to their counter. And if you don't, you're kind of cooked. And I think right now the Saints just don't have a counter to that counter. I don't see a way. I just don't see a world where Dan Quinn doesn't realize that. And if he does realize that, we're cooked.
If a team approaches you in that capacity, so I am a little bit worried about that, and I am waiting for a team to just kind of completely sell out on those 2 missions, and we haven't quite seen it to that extent yet. But Lattimore is somebody that can stick with the player, and if you take that guy away and you sell out to stop the run game with Alvin, and
we did see it. We saw it against Philly. And that was it. Y'all saw what happened there.
And now Kendra, who are you moving the ball with? Is it Nobody. Kevin Austin?
Yeah.
Pettis?
LOL.
LOL. I don't like those matchups. Are you leaning on the tight ends? I think both those guys have done a pretty good job, and I think there's even an argument to throwing the ball to Foster Moreau a little bit more than you have to this point. But
God bless. Look at the solar flare. This is a commercial for Ray-Ban. If he successfully drives through this solar flare, Dragon Ball Z style, if he successfully drives through this without his skin melting off of his face, is he driving it directly into the sun? Is Mars 15 feet in front of the car? This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable to watch. I am nervous. Can he get through this?
A team's going to figure that out at some point. There's 4 games to go. They already know, but I'm waiting to see somebody sell out for it. And I wonder if it is going to be Washington, because they do have the players for it. And if you could commit a little bit more to stopping the run, if you are Washington, I think it would make a whole lot of sense. So that's going to be something else too. Seeing Lattimore come back his first game for them against the Saints in his old stadium.
Typical Saints, man. We it really is crazy when you think about this season, where we almost played against Andy Dalton. We played against Jameis Winston. We are played against Sean Payton. We are playing against Marshon Lattimore, and Derek Carr is playing against his former team. It's insane. You're talking about 25% of the schedule, probably more. 33% of the schedule is storyline driven, these insane matchups.
I think we're going to see fully motivated Marshon Lattimore.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily bad blood, but it's not good. It's not a...
anytime somebody trades you or gets rid of you or whatever, you're going to try and want to stick it to them, whether it's quote unquote bad blood or not.
Good situation there. There was a lot of tension there for a lot of years, and especially the the last couple, well, not this year, the two before this year, a lot of tension behind the scenes. I thought that thing was going to come to a head a few times. And, I don't think Marshon is the type of dude probably to hold on to a lot of that. And I think the driving force in that rift is now out of the building. But
Dennis punk-ass Allen.
I'm sure he feels a little something. I'm sure he feels a little. You have to. Just even as a competitor, like, this is a team that was willing to get rid of you. Even if there's nothing else on it, and there is a little spice on it, but even if there wasn't, I think that's more than enough to come out here and try to prove a point. And I don't know if Marshon really needs to prove any points or prove anything to anyone. Like, he's stamped as one of the best in the league. And
yeah, I mean, what's he going like? I mean, at the end of the day, though, like, what's he going to do? Is he going to just hold MVS to no catches, no yards, and flex on that? It's like, I mean, if I stretched out a little bit, I might be able to get out there and play a little cover two.
And he's going to stay that, but I'm sure coming back here, he's going to want to make some plays. So I think that's going to be kind of fun to see overall. And then, you're going against Haener Rattler. He'll probably have a couple opportunities to try to get the ball. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they approach this game. I think obviously they're going to be trying to lean on that run game extremely, extremely heavily. And then they're going to try to figure it out, how to move the ball off of that. I was kind of surprised. I was doing a study yesterday, and I was a little bit surprised to see that the Saints have only used play action on 24% of their passing attempts overall this season.
Well, you got to remember, when Rattler was playing, we reverted to that 3 wide receiver kind of set and out of the 12 personnel because that's what Rattler was comfortable with. So we kind of abandoned the system to a certain extent. You also had to factor in that when we were getting our absolute ass kicked for about 7 games in a row, you can't really do play action. You can't really do play action when you're down 17 points, when you're down 20 points, when you're down 3 scores. Like, play action doesn't really work. You also can't do play action when you can't run the football. And when the running game doesn't exist. And there have been multiple games, the Giants, where the running game hasn't existed. So, it doesn't really surprise me at all. You also factor in, like, the Taysom plays. The Taysom plays aren't really play action. So you factor all of that in. Yeah, that's going to be your, like, 10% drop in what would have been expected play action. I think the expected play action is probably closer to, like, 45%. Maybe that's a little high, but given the game states. But, like, in a perfect world, they're probably doing play action, like, half the time. But like I said, when you can't, like, play action does need to be set up, and it does need to be in a game state. Like, I mean, just think about it. If you're down 21-0 and you see a play action, it's like, who the hell's biting on that play action?
And, like, for the sake of comparison, Detroit's at 40%. So
yeah,
24% isn't a big number. Middle of the league average amount. And the weird thing is that
I would assume I'd be kind of surprised if Detroit was the highest team, because Detroit, they're pretty straightforward. I know they do play action a lot, but I would guess, like, San Francisco would be the highest. I would guess San Francisco and the Rams are the 2 highest.
Derek Carr second in the league in play action passer rating, and you kind of look at that and you wonder why aren't they leaning into this a little bit more, especially with the way they like to play the game. But I say that to say, you would think this would be a game where you try to run and you try to do a lot of play action off of it and try to set it up and minimize, some of that stuff for the young quarterback. But even when it was Rattler, it only went up to 26%. So I don't know that we're going to see a drastic shift in the approach to the game based on personnel at who's available. But
I would think, I mean, again, like, this stuff changes so fast, but I would think what you're going to try and do is you have to try and shorten the game. You have to try and run the ball, take as much time as you can, have as much time in possession as you can, really play safe defensively. You cannot allow big plays. You cannot allow Jayden Daniels to run for 150 yards. You have to find a way to churn. The problem with our offense and the system and the scheme is that if you churn these like 3-4 yard rushes, which last couple of weeks we'd be begging for a 3-4 yard rush, but if you're churning these rushes, then you have to be able to convert 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 5s. And I just like, do we think Jake Haener can do that? Do we believe that that's going to be a thing? I don't know. This is one of those games where I would go down with the ship and I would just have Alvin Kamara have 30 touches. Like, I would have him catching screen after screen after screen after screen, running the ball. That's what I would do. Same with like MVS. Just screens. Just give him screens, give him opportunities to make a play. I think you're better off doing that than asking Jake Haener to complete some 8-yard dig route, or asking MVS to try and get separation from Lattimore down the field and asking the offensive line to hold up against whatever blitz. I think you're better off doing that. So I'd utilize Kamara a lot in the passing game. I'm not talking just dumps and checkdowns. I'm talking like route running. I'm talking screens. I'm talking, planned touches. So that's what I would do. But beyond that, like, this is one of those games where if you see the Saints go down 14-0 quick, you can go ahead and watch something else. I mean, go ahead and put on a rerun or whatever. Do something else with your day. Go outside. Go take a walk. But because this game has to be shortened. This game has to be boring. This game has to be low scoring if the Saints want a chance. If the Saints get behind, you know what goes out the window? I just said it. Play action. Running the ball. It goes out the window. And if that's your only way to victory, and the only way to victory goes out the window, and you got to play from behind, and all of a sudden Jake Haener's spinning the pill, bad news bears.
It would make some sense to try to do some different stuff and try to take some pressure off of him and maybe lean into that. I mean, I think your plan has to be almost entirely run-based, and you got to work off that. And we're going to see how it looks. If it is Haener, and I kind of hope it is, just in the sense that I want to see him get a game to start so that we really know what he is and what he's about. Because I don't know that we really know that. I mean, we've seen him come in spot duty, and I haven't been blown away by that, but I don't think it's the same as starting. Like, if you go into a game...
Yeah, you go into a game with a full week of prep, you're the guy, everyone else knows you're the guy. It's totally different. And I agree. Like, we do need to see it. We do need to see what it looks like, and we need to have the tape on it to make decisions moving forward.
Prepared to start, I think that the approach is completely different. And
yeah, hell yeah.
You kind of build off of that. And I think it allows you to approach it with a different mindset. Like, you're ready. Like, you're going in,
Well, it's also like the game state, where usually if Haener's coming in, it's either a blowout one way or the other, or there was an injury and the game's over. And at that point, it's like you can't really judge a player on that.
Ready. You aren't guessing at anything. You kind of know exactly what you got to do and all that stuff. And you can go out there in the right headspace, and it isn't kind of just like getting thrown in and be like, well, here we go. It's kind of like knowing there's a fire versus being like sitting in the firehouse and all of a sudden the alarm goes off and you have to react. Like, I think there's probably a difference if you're walking into one versus
Huge
like
difference.
having to catch up to one, and you can maybe control that emotion a little bit more. And I think we'll see that with Haener maybe this week. But I think it's a hard job for either one of them, whoever it is. Whoever it is, I think it's a really hard job this week, and it's going to be tough to win. I mean, you don't have any receivers, you don't have Taysom. Like, that's tough. It's an unfair situation for anybody.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that one kind of plays out. What else happened today?
I think it's worst case scenario defensively, worst case scenario offensively, honestly.
I thought it was kind of interesting. Rizzi said this was the best game of Chase Young's Saints tenure. I thought that was kind of interesting to hear him say that. We'll see. Chase kind of gets that revenge game.
Oh, yeah, true. Big Chase Young revenge spot
this week, so that'll be interesting. Ridgeway, too, gets to go against the Commanders. Jayden, obviously, coming back to Louisiana. Yep. Going to be able to show what he can do on that big stage in the Superdome. That's going to be interesting to see. For Rizzi, I think this is a game that if you can find a way to win it with the backup quarterback, you're probably the head coach.
Hell yeah. Rizzi, Rizzi's on the razor's edge, man, because if you get blown out, you're probably not the head coach. If you find a way to win, you probably are the head coach. So.
That's a huge thing to be able to overcome. I think it'd be asking a whole lot of him to kind of overcome that, but that would be, something to kind of watch. Alvin continues his pursuit of the 1,000-yard season. Yeah. Not getting a ton of yards last week, I think, makes it tough to get to that 2,000-yard season overall, but that's still within reach. So if he can get a big game in one of these next 4, maybe that's back in play, but I think it's going to be tough to get there. But that's kind of an interesting thing to watch for. Being able to see what Valdez-Scantling can keep doing with a different quarterback, that's something to kind of keep an eye on. But yeah, kind of the wind taken out of the sails a little bit with no Carr. I mean, it kind of makes it a little bit harder to see this one as a big game or anything like that. It's just kind of gotten a lot smaller. But we'll see what they can do. Big implications on the draft status. I kind of broke down where it might be possible for them to pick today on the website, neworleans.football. Check that out. There's a little mock draft in there too. It's pretty much mock draft season, especially if they lose this game. I might be shifting fully into that. And look, like I said on the last one, man, if you guys are enjoying these videos and any of the stuff we're doing, please sign up for the site. We need you guys. We need your support. We need you guys to keep supporting it and showing love and all that stuff. So, but yeah, that's it for today's ride, man. Saints at the Commanders this weekend. We got the podcast going out a little bit later today, so be on the lookout for that. Stories on the website.
Yeah, per usual. Go support NOF. Unbelievable content, really good stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough game, obviously, but in these games, you got to kind of shrink. You got to shrink everything, just like we were talking about with MVS and like the screens. Like, why? Like, what do you think is the better path to success for MVS? Asking him to beat Marshon Lattimore one-on-one down the field, or getting him the ball on a screen or something and letting him kind of operate that way? It's number 2. So if number 2 is the best way to do it, just do that over and over for him. Don't. In these kind of games, it's like, don't get cute. Don't try stuff that's not going to work. Try stuff that works. Find something that works and do it a million times. And that's it. Like we see Sean McVay is the best at that. Sean McVay is the best at, oh, wow, this play works? Okay, well, I'm about to run it 17 straight times until you prove you can stop it. And if you can't stop it, okay, well, we're going to do that. Oh, it's 3rd and 3? Guess what we're doing? That play that works. That's it. We're not going to get cute. Not going to try and get the ball to somebody else. Like on Thursday Night Football, the Rams and Niners, key spot in the game. Rams ran like one of the most simple plays you'll ever see, where Kupp was on the left, the tight end was on the right, on like the seams, and the play was pretty much both guys run straight. Whichever side the linebacker goes would be the side that's getting doubled. Whichever side the linebacker goes, throw it to the other side. And that was it. That was the play. And it worked perfect, and that let them ice the game. And it was one of those things where it's like, McVay is so good at just doing the simple thing. Do the simple thing that works. You need 4 yards. What is the play that guarantees us 4 yards? Like that, and sometimes, I don't want to say bad teams get away from that, but sometimes teams get away from that. And all of a sudden you're running plays where you're watching it and you're like, in what universe is a Jake Haener play action deep shot? You're like, what when is that going to work? And then the other argument's like, well, you got, make them respect it, take the shot. So you're wasting a play. Like you only have so many plays. You're stopping the clock. Like a lot of stuff's happening in a game like this where you want to control the clock and whatever. So we'll see. But we're going to cover it all weekend. Obviously, I'll be in the Superdome. So, my God. But thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Get on down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.